next time you meet me in Gate City.
Oh, Cody Pope. I know Cody Pope.
Our friend is Cody and we not having a good day.
Smack dab in the middle of all that.
That was beautifully said. And I love that you said when you have a microphone.
And we were able to do it.
It's about just showing up.
What up, world? Welcome back to another episode of Cody Central. Welcome back, welcome home, or welcome for the first time. Shout out to my brother Ryan, first one in the chat tonight. Shout out to the homie Jen. I see you guys. Thank you for being here early. We got an awesome episode in store for tonight. I've got live in-studio guests with me here tonight. I'll tell you a little more about that in a bit. If it's your first time here, every night here is a little bit unique because we talk to unique people every single week. We're going to have ourselves a wild night nevertheless. If you're watching from Facebook or if you're watching from YouTube, please drop us a comment. Let us know what city and state you're watching from. And as always, make sure to press like and subscribe on YouTube to help us grow. As you guys may have saw last week, my good friend Angela was the second person to ever sponsor the program. And I've been really grateful for her support, as well as my boy Danny Henn from Schoolyard Pro YouTube channel. So let me take a moment one more time to let you guys know about my second show sponsor, Photography by Ann Rova. Shout out to my brother Ryan. He said he's clocking in from Gate City as always. Much love to the whole Gate City hip hop community. Let me get some music going on here. Missing my producer cues. Let's get into some cool stuff for tonight. So music of the week. I'm really excited to get into this music of the week this week. So anybody that's been watching the show, you may have noticed that there's a little picture of me and Westside Gun, me and Conway, some of the Griselda boys. I've been a huge fan of the Griselda Records movement for a long time. I actually got introduced to Westside Gun and Griselda about 10 years ago when he was early in the Hitler Wears Hermes mixtape run. Everything Griselda does is just very different from the status quo. Very reverent to the culture and legacy of hip hop's past, but it's also like very innovative in a number of ways between their style, their release strategies, merchandising, all of this stuff. And very recently, Westside Gun did it again. He put out this really interesting EP called Heels Have Eyes. This was a 5-track EP that they recorded in one night and released the next day. And on top of it, they put out a limited edition CD version that was available from Rock Nation for only $8. So needless to say, being a Griselda fan and a CD fanatic, I had to cop, and it just came in the mail today. Super excited about this one. 5 tracks, recorded and mixed and mastered in 24 hours. Definitely worth adding to the Griselda collection. Shout out to my boy Fee in the chat. Let's go. Fee the Evolutionist, turning up. This record right here it's a fast listen, right? But it's tinged with like really classic sample heavy sounding production, tons of great wrestling references and street rap references. It's got wild ad libs across it, and there's that purely no fucks given Westside Gun vocal delivery. It's a fun listen and a super cool piece. Fee said Bluntsworth tonight should be a good one. He was on the Cody Pope curated any top 10 hybrid theory episode. That's right. So shout out to Fee for that. Fee and Joey B run a radio show called Hybrid Theory Radio every Tuesday night from 9 to 11 on Wave Radio Boston. And so back at the top of the year, they invited me on and had me curate what was my top 10 favorite New England hip hop songs. And amongst a bunch of heavy hitters, Bluntsworth had one of my favorite songs of last year with Be Cool. And so we got to play that on the radio and talk about it, did a little write-up on it. And so it's awesome that we've come full circle and we have him here in the studio tonight as well. So usually I've been playing the Giant Steps ad here, but I feel like you guys have seen that same ad every single week. So I'm trying to work on producing a new one. I just haven't had time. So for now, please continue to support Giant Steps in Gate City. We do have a few CDs left. And on top of it, it is available everywhere to listen to on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Pandora, wherever you listen to music. If you like the album, please tell a friend. Man, that's really exciting. He said that episode that we were talking about is one of the most listened episodes. That's really cool.
I gotta interject, Joe. I recorded that episode, so I listen to it regularly, like religiously. I listen to both of you. Like, I play it all the time.
That's wild. Now, if you guys just heard that, that was for Bluntsworth, who's going to be popping on any moment now. Jennifer in the chat said, "We leave tomorrow for 6 months traveling Carnival. Today is our last day in Nashua." That is wild. I am so excited for you guys. That sounds like a hell of an experience. Best of luck to you guys on that. We're going to miss you in Nashua, but hopefully the Carnival brings you everything that you are looking for. And so with that said, music of the week, West Side Gun, Heels Have Eyes. If you want a CD, go to rocknation.com. They may still have some left, but you can also stream it everywhere. I don't know why I kept clapping during that, but that's what we're doing. So movie of the week. Let's get into this movie of the week. I'm excited about this. I felt bad that I shortchanged you guys the last couple weeks with talking about Lazarus, but I know it's a TV show, but I was just so excited about it. And it's funny, they let me letterboxed it one episode and then the whole thing got wiped. So somebody must have told Letterboxd it was a TV show, but I'm back on my bullshit. And so my movie of this week that I want to talk about is Drunken Angel, which came out in 1948, directed by the cinematic master, the legend, Akira Kurosawa. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It's a great noir thriller from a master of cinema. Features Toshiro Mifune doing what he does best right from the jump with his dynamic acting range and expression. Kurosawa provides an absolutely interesting perspective into the noir genre, and he develops these relationship dynamics between the two main characters that offer so much to examine in such a fast-paced film. You can tell in certain glimpses that Kurosawa is going to continue to revolutionize cinema anytime he touches a film. This was so much fun. I love noir movies. Hey, shout out to Jay. What's up? I hope you're doing well. Much love. So if you guys are into movies and you want to hear more about my movie reviews, weekly watches, watch lists, all of that kind of stuff, I put all of my movie reviews on Letterboxd. And so I'm going to take a second to show you that because we go super hard on Letterboxd and Hellhound Film Club. So, Drunken Angel. I just got my copy from the Criterion Collection on DVD. They just had a half-off sale recently. There's going to be at least 2 more sales this year where you can get 50% off. So, stay tapped in with Criterion Collection if you want to build up your physical media library and salvage the arts. I want to get into some event listings here. As always, check the banner if you have a show, an event, a pop-up kitchen, any cool event. If it sounds like something that we would want to be part of, shoot me an email at codycentralshow@gmail.com. Send the flyer, any pertinent info. If it sounds like something that I myself would be at, then I'm definitely going to plug it in the show. And with that said, let me run through a bunch of important events coming up. First off, every Sunday night is Rap Night Manchester at the Shaskeen in Manchester, New Hampshire. Features 2 open ciphers as well as artist showcases. $5 entry, 21 plus, every single week, hosted by DJ Myth, Sean Caliber, and I9. And also, every Thursday is the Laugh Attic at Strange Brew in Manchester, New Hampshire, is a comedy open mic showcase hosted by one of our previous episode guests, Danny P. Now, Thursday, May 1st, Peace Test, No Model, Brainwashed, Price You'll Pay, and Herd Mentality play in Johnston, Rhode Island. It's a punk hardcore show at an undisclosed location. Ask a Punk, Ask a Band, Wild Times. Friday, May 2nd, Sparta is playing at Taffeta Music Hall in Lowell, Massachusetts. Saturday, May 3rd, Bad Bad Not Good is going to be at Roadrunner in Boston, Massachusetts. Also on Saturday, May 3rd, is the La Espada Chopper Show 4, which is going to be in Haverhill, Massachusetts. There's going to be bikes, bands, beer, food, vendors, all sorts of stuff. For more info on that, check out at F6T9W on Instagram. Wednesday, May 7th, legendary comedian Mark Maron is going to be at the Music Hall in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Thursday, May 8th, legendary independent cannabis enthusiast and hip-hop artist Currency is bringing his 420 tour to the Middle East at Cambridge. Also that day, Thursday, May 8th, hilarious stand-up comedian Stavros Halkias from Stavi's World and much more is going to be at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. Friday, May 9th, Devo celebrates their 50-year celebration at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway Park in Boston. Also on May 9th, Volley, Neurotic, Already Dead, and Basics Plus all play at Kodo in Salem. A great mixed lineup of punk, hardcore, and metal bands. Sunday, May 11th, the powerfully soulful and technical American heavy music act Baroness is going to be bringing their beautiful live show to the Sinclair in Boston, Massachusetts. Monday, May 12th, one of the most prolific hip-hop artists of our generation, Kendrick Lamar, is going to be performing at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Mass. Sunday, May 18th, Boston hardcore legends Death Before Dishonor celebrate their record release show at Sonia along with Shattered Realm, and I do believe this show actually just sold out. So if you missed out, don't say I haven't been telling you for months now. Sunday, May 18th as well, legendary New York hardcore band the Cro-Mags are going to be playing at Alchemy in Providence, Rhode Island. Friday, May 23rd, live instrumentation hip-hop and soul group The Evolutionists, led by Ruby Shabazz and Feed the Evolutionist, featuring Zeke Martin, Dom Davis, and Joe Mazzarella, are going to be at Warp and Weft in Lowell, Massachusetts. Saturday, May 24th, iconic 80s death metal band Obituary is going to be tearing it up at Palladium. And I also just found out that one of my favorite hardcore bands, Terror, is on this show, so another incentive to go check that out. May 31st to June 1st is Tied Down Fest in Detroit, Michigan, featuring American Nightmare, Speed, Judge, The Wrong Side, Hope Conspiracy, Fiddlehead, Trial, Regional Justice Center, tons and tons more. This is going to be one of the best hardcore fests of the year, without a doubt. Thursday, June 12th, Fever 333 is going to be at the Taffeta Music Hall in Lowell, Massachusetts. That is bound to be a wild night. Saturday, June 14th, Converge, Cave-In, and Defeater and more come together at the Brooklyn Monarch in Brooklyn, New York for a celebration of life show for legendary hardcore contributor Rich Hall. Thursday, June 19th, legendary hip-hop stalwart Rock Kim is going to be making his way to Portland, Maine for Oxbow Brewing. Saturday, June 21st, Death Threat and Product of Waste are going to be tearing it up at Alchemy in Providence, Rhode Island. Rest in peace, T. Thursday, June 26th, Lee James from Griselda Records is going to be at the Brighton Music Hall in Boston, Massachusetts. Also that day, iconic Canadian post-rock group Godspeed You Black Emperor is going to be making their return to Boston at Roadrunner. And additionally that day, one of the most influential rock bands of the early 2000s, Brand New, is going to be making their long-awaited return to the stage after years of hiatus. They're going to be at the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. Friday, July 11th, 90s emo legends Cap and Jazz are going to be performing at Royale in Boston, Massachusetts. Also that day, Friday, July 11th, the legendary, the one, the only Wu-Tang Clan, their final tour is going to be hitting the TD Garden in Boston alongside Run the Jewels. Saturday, July 26th, Street Power record release show featuring COA, the Mongoloids, and more. That's going to be at the Middle East downstairs. Check it out. The show was upstairs. It sold out so fast that they moved it downstairs just to open up more tickets. Lock in now. See some of the most gnarly hardcore bands of old and new alike, and celebrate the upcoming release of Me Time by Street Power. Wednesday, July 30th, 2000s Brooklyn alternative indie rock giants TV on the Radio come to Boston and play Roadrunner. Saturday, August 9th, legendary comedian Louis C.K. is going to be at Foxwoods in Connecticut. Friday, August 29th, American industrial legends 9 Inch Nails embark upon a huge tour for the first time in a number of years, and they're going to be hitting the TD Garden. And lastly, Saturday, September 27th, Punk in the Park is at the Palladium Outdoors, Worcester, Massachusetts, featuring Bad Religion, Pennywise, Comeback Kid, Face to Face, The Adolescents, and so many more. Guys, hopefully I listed something that you guys want to go to. Drop a comment and let me know what are those shows that you want to attend. Shout out to Ryan, who said Kurosawa is the best. That is absolute facts. Big shout out to Megan. Big shout out to Jill, Amanda, Jennifer, and Ashton. And big shout out to Wayne, who said, "What up, Bluntsworth?" We got a dope show, so needless to say, I don't need to tell you who tonight's guest is, but nevertheless, we got a really great one for you, so I want to cue this thing up as nice as I can. So check it out, right? Tonight's guest is someone who has been steadily working to carve out a lane for themselves, an alternatively inspired hip-hop artist who gains as much influence from the Deftones as he does MF Doom. He's a vocalist, a producer, a visual designer, and so much more. Please welcome to the program my friend, Bluntsworth.
Yeah. What up, tribe? What up, tribe? More peace to everybody. More peace.
Make sure y'all drop your welcomes and applause in the comments for Bluntsworth. Make sure you let us know if we both sound okay.
That.
And like I said, let's get into it. So first things first, the chat is open for Q&A now as long as we're live tonight. Any questions that you guys have for our guest, drop them in the chat. We'll share and answer our favorite ones.
Yo, what up, Wayne? Mad love.
Yeah.
Mad love. Like everybody, the man gives this love. Now he's filled with love. Just mad love back at you, bro. Just so you know that.
Hell yeah. So first things first, I always like to get a glimpse of like people's introduction to their craft, kind of like when they discovered the thing that they love. So when did you really like find your interest or your passion for doing music first kind of came about?
For Bluntsworth, music was birthed maybe a decade ago in Atlantic City on 157 New York Avenue, Plan B recording studio. But I am a nomadic artist hailing from New Jersey. And I found it once as an audio engineer working at the studio. I was just an airbrush artist. And graffiti changed my whole life, just so everybody knows. That's Bluntsworth's story began with graffiti. But a decade ago in Atlantic City, I experienced music in a different way. And I became a producer at the time through a few different things that catapulted me into that position, or the capability of being able to do that, or having a studio at my fingertips at a time where before everyone had one in their fucking closet or their grandma's house or something like that. I had the access, and I experimented with some things. And at the time, I wasn't passionate. I was doing it for fun. I wasn't even doing it to sell anything. And that passion actually didn't come to me until maybe a couple years ago. Just a couple years ago, I lost my love and a lot of things. I suffered through a lot of shit, just like everyone else. And I fell so far down, and I didn't give a shit about anything. And one day, it just came back to me in a way that I didn't. I let it out, and Bluntsworth was rebirthed with a new skin, a new flavor, and I've just watched myself evolve over time. So in a nutshell, yeah, Jersey, motherfucker.
Let's go. So, all right. So you said this chapter of your music career came together about a decade ago.
Yeah.
So how old were you around then?
Shit. See, my late 20s.
Okay.
I'm late for everything. Shit, I was born on New Year's Eve. So it's the last day of the year, the last person on earth to be born that year, and everybody that year's birthdays before me. Never mind that fucking Christmas, etc. But everything's come late to me.
I know the feeling, man.
And at first I thought it was a curse, but truthfully, it's a blessing to be able to be at this age and experience some of these things for the first time. And whereas a lot of people have already experienced it and they're dull and they're numb to it, and they experienced it in times where they weren't even able to actually appreciate whatever it was, good or bad. And just, it's a blessing. I'm blessed.
Man, so it feels like we kind of had a similar trajectory in the sense of like, I also got into, like, I've been doing music most of my life, but in terms of like my solo career and like doing hip hop and all of that, I was just about my early 20s when I like transitioned into that. I had always loved hip hop, but I had like played in bands, and I just always thought that was going to be the thing for me.
Yeah.
What was the music like that you were listening to before you got into making your own music?
I'd be in the studio. I'd record mad rappers all day, talking about bitches, bottles, and Beamers, and then complain. They pull up in the cab and they complain about the studio prices and fucking talk about the money they ain't have to pay me and all this other shit. And I thought to myself, like, I think at the time it was Lost Boys, Legal Drug Money mixed with The Fragile from 9 Inch Nails, mixed with DJ Shadow, and just this plethora of things. And I experienced this day in, day out of artists coming in, and I've tried to think of a way to create a music and say something that hasn't already been said before in a way. But along that journey, and I remember your question, along that journey, I started seeing icons and like females in iconic positions with large voices and platforms, and male artists in those large places and platforms telling my friends and my family and these young women and these children to pop their pussies and be strippers and fucking sell drugs. And I have a niece, I have cousins, I have friends who have children, and I started thinking about the message they were telling them to fucking ride surfboards or whatever the fuck Shorty was saying. And I tried to create something where I could create a hip hop, not necessarily without dropping M-bombs, or fuck this, that, and shibbity doo wop. But there's better things to say. There's better ways to say what you're saying. And there's better ways to paint that picture with less words or with less whatever the fuck that was. And so I went on this mission to create this clean, I guess, like unhinged Will Smith fucking record or some shit. I don't even know. I wanted it to be something that impacted people, but that my grandparents could rock with, my niece could rock with, that again impacted people at this time. Music started, it moved me in the direction to want to move people. And so again, with the growth and the trajectory that I went on to, the question was, what was I listening to? In a nutshell, some heavy shit, Bad Brains, Deftones. I wasn't listening. I hadn't even fathomed being an artist or doing music at the time. And I call it an indulgent stage because I was in a receiving stasis of outside influences. And for me, when you, like anybody else, when you first start creating originally, or whatever you do, that first time you do it, it's the most original you'll ever be, no matter whatever it is. It's when all of the years of these samples and all of these sounds and all these all at one time, that only happens once, which is why kind of what I was saying about it's okay to be late, those things, because you can appreciate it. Man, if I go back to doing, that's where that whole, I wish I can go back to knowing what I know now back then. But I'm directly influenced mostly by heavy metal, mostly new metal, and some real gutter like hip hop and shit. And I love some classic R&B, man. And I love that swing. Anything 1920s or earlier, like I really get down. I don't play. Give me a lowrider, or fucking a hot ride or something. End up shorty or something.
I like that. I'll rock with that. So, what was the thing that you were into before you found even like audio engineering, I guess? Because I feel like we always have a thing that we think is like what we're going to do. I know for me, before I ever thought I was going to be a musician, I thought I was going to be a skateboarder. And that was what I put my energy into for like a number of years in junior high before I ended up joining my first real band.
You ain't even gonna believe this shit. But that's exactly what I knew I was gonna be. I was gonna be the first black skateboarder, first bigger than pro, like bigger than Kareem Campbell and fucking like before Lil Wayne ever knew the skateboard was. I was on the deck. Like before, like, I mean, there's people that I'm trying to tell you, and graffiti took me there. But I was a skateboarder. I ran a skate park. That's where I was at. And I can't even believe I've been talking about it all year. Like, shit, I should get back on the board in a deck. So, but yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was gonna be bigger than those guys. There was only a few, and at the time, the only time you ever really seen a melaninely abundant fellow on the skate deck was in the movie Kids, and then later on with Lil Wayne.
Rest in peace, Harold Hunter.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I knew there had to be something because, especially just I can tell with your approach. Yeah, that you're not somebody who does it and I hope this is a compliment, but like you seem like somebody who doesn't do well living passively, just watching things happen and like waiting for your opportunity.
OTM on the move always. Shouts to Brooklyn Black, Ray. On the move, always on the move. And funny thing, when I would skate, this is back, and at the time we were in Cape Cod. We were up in Bourne, and I used to skate rocking the first Korn album on cassette tape. Like before, like, oh man. That just those two worlds, and then graffiti again at the same time. It was an impact of the year was 99. That's what it was. It had to be 99 because around the Fur drop that summer. So it had to be. But anyways, just throwing it out there.
I love that. So you were born in New Jersey, you said?
Yeah.
So at what point does your transition to New Hampshire, how does that come about?
New Hampshire is new to me. I've been all over the country. I was a military brat, raised out in San Diego, Piece of Drum Metrics, Oceanside, what up? I was raised in New Jersey. I was raised in New York. I was raised in the Cape. I was raised in Brockton. I was raised all over. Motherfuckers know me everywhere. And there's not many circles I can't get into because I build relationships, and that's what I do. More peace, everybody. What up, tribe? Anybody tapping in now or later? What up, tribe? All my people, mad pieces the cheap way. What up, Ming? I love you, bro. But to answer that, yeah. Man, more peace, man. That's all I can tell you. More peace. It took a lot to get to where I'm at. And when people ask me about my journey and where I come from, I always ask, I should ask, like, you mean in this universe? Or like, to here, because I'm a cosmic being, man. I'm from a different place. This painting looks crazy. No, this is war paint. This is tears, this is sacrifices over here. This isn't for attention. This is, over here, this is everything I'm fighting for. And, this is a part of me. And, man, I hope you're impacted by me or something or some way. I really hope you all are. I'm wishing, because I'm just saying, my journey is from afar. It's from afar. And again, I'm nomadic, so you can consider this just a stop. I'll be here for a New York minute. And time is it's all borrowed, y'all. Check on your loved ones. Peace to all my strong friends. Mad love, y'all.
So it feels like you have been going through perhaps like a more like spiritual path in your life, and that's been the fuel behind your nomadedness after your childhood being an army brat, of course. I'm sure that like influenced some of it and showed you how possible it is to move around, but
it made it here's a perspective. It created a more culturally diffused person, right? I know languages, I know types of people. I know there's more to life than what you see on television outside. Some people have never left the state or street or block that they were raised on. I don't know a single person that has known me my entire life that isn't blood related. And I don't have a friend that I haven't known more than 15 years. I've never been in a place long enough to make friends. So I don't know what it's like. So there's a numbness. It's not as pleasant as people might think to not be attached to something. And that's why it makes it easier for me to impact you and impact lives, because I am living, I have lost, but not things like you have. Some people have children, and this is just random, but to spin off what you're saying, just to get better know me. This is one of the first times people are seeing me in this particular eye on this platform. So I just want to provide that perspective, and that would be, you might have a child or a dog or a pet or a plant or a bird or a car even that you fucking love more than anything, more than life. You've given your child, right? You love your child. I don't have those things. I've lost a child before, but I don't have those things. So for me, my music is that. And so I treat my music as such. It's all I have. It's the only thing you and nobody else can take from me. It's all I have. That's my child. That's the part of me, and it's part of my spirit. And that is what's going to live and impact even after I'm gone, here and now.
Yeah. You can feel that.
And I don't think that any of those things catapulted or affected Bluntsworth, because Bluntsworth was only born but a decade ago. And that's something important. Bluntsworth, yeah. Michael Anthony was definitely from Jersey. Yeah, fuck that. Don't fucking play with me. But Bluntsworth, though, definitely, he's nomadic. He was birthed in Jersey, but has been on that journey and sharing that experience ever since.
Okay. And so when I was going through like your press kit and like your catalog of music and
that's
stuff. The first Bluntsworth record I found is like 2019. So are you already in New Hampshire at that point, or
No.
Okay.
My last stop was Connecticut. I lost my mind in Connecticut, and
Shout out to Cage.
yeah, that actually song was named after, was inspired by that. And it's a project that probably will see its light maybe a decade from now. But it changed my life, and I experienced things that I never ever would want to experience again. And I climbed out of such a fucking flame. I came out as ashes, and I came out as bones. And a lot of people know me as Bones before Bluntsworth. It's not the same person. There's growth. You grow, you mature, exponential growth, But out of that flame, out of those ashes, that's where Bluntsworth was birthed. Damn.
So as you're moving around
Yep.
from place to place, what are you doing for a means of survival?
That's
you
a really good question.
engineering, or
Yo,
do you have to supplement it
That's
with
so
other
funny.
things?
I thought that this would be, this brings me joy to share this with y'all, because I'm sharing this with musicians, and this is exactly what I wanted to do. A lot of us work a 9 to 5, right? A lot of cats work 9 to 5s. I worked a 9 to 5 my whole life. First of all, you don't even know that you can do better. Just so you know that. If you're still working it, if you're putting all that amazing shit into somebody else's something, right? You clock it in for these motherfuckers. You go home and you don't even clock in for yourself, right? You can't just not clock in for yourself. You gotta continue to clock in for yourself. One day, first of all, you have the choice. You have a choice. Yes, you have a family, you need insurance. There are ways. There are ways to do a little bit of research. But to answer this question directly, I'm a stagehand. I'm not even part of a union, and I think the worst that's happened is that I was out of work for a month, and it was a vacation if you do it right. I work for several different entertainment companies. I get to work for all of these dope bands that are coming to town and build their stages and rock their offices and give out the pass. I do a lot of work. I'm a stagehand. There's a lot to it. There's hard work to it. Shit, sometimes we cut the grass, sometimes we clear the snow, but we're carpenters, man. We are builders. It's a real thing. We might build a stage for the movie or a set for a movie you're watching next year. Stagehands, and it's freelance. I could take the whole week off if I want to and work 3 days and the wages be okay. And this is new to me, but I'm just sharing this with you because you haven't heard from me. Some days the hours are like 18, 20 hours. It's not work if you love that shit. If fucking Jason Aldean or Griselda's like, yo, we're in New England for 4 days straight. We have a residency. Like, yo, you're a good audio tech or A1 or fucking whatever the fuck. You go do my lights or whatever the fuck shit. Come with us for 4 days. They could be for 4 damn days. You don't see your damn family, but that fucking check, you could take the time off and feed your people and handle your business. And right now, it's an industry thing. So for me, I'm a stagehand, and I am glorifying it because that's how you escape the 9 to 5. That's how you get it from up under there and get up somewhere where you belong. If you're an artist and you're not on the stage, you should be building one. That's how I feel. And even if you're paying this to be it's one, my job is to be backstage when it's time to go. And I love what I do, and I will continue to glorify that. I was miserable. Everyone, you got a 9 to 5 retail, whatever the fuck. My mental health was deteriorating, and you all know what I'm talking about. And then one day I handled my handle. I lined my ducks up, and I figured out what the stagehand life was like. I dabbled in it, and I never went back. No one who's the stagehand has ever gone back.
It's gotta like.
Back live in less than 5 minutes. My computer just shit out on us, so I had to reboot. Thank you so much momentarily.
stage, a microphone, and it's time, a crowd, an audience, anything. Like just random somebody from out of nowhere, man. It gave me a whole chance, man, and it started right there. It's just beautiful. But yeah, today last year, it was me and GG the Snowman. We rocked the Shaskin last year. Tonight last year at that. It was a dope night, man. Thank you, DJ Myth, and the whole rap night for giving Bluntsworth, stepping stone. Hopefully I'll make my 3rd annual appearance sometime this summer or even in the fall. Actually would be pretty dope.
Yeah, it would. Absolutely. So tell me about, my computer,
Yeah,
I'm waiting for my camera to load, but they
can
probably hear us both. What was the inspiration like when you did that first project back in 2019?
Yeah.
Like what was kind of the gas behind doing a Bluntsworth solo project once and for all after all this audio engineering and everything else?
To take it all the way back and kind of just focus and hone it in. It was to see if I had the ability to release and attract an audience to be impacted that would be vulnerable to be impacted by me without using major features, guest features, friends, family, anyone or anything but my own solid raw talent, my own instrumentals, my own instrumentation, my own orchestration, my own writing, my own lyrics, to have the most purest form of me on record. And that sometimes included not having me on some parts of the songs. And you'll find in that particular case, I had a couple of skits involved, I think, on that album. And it was very reefer orientated, but it wasn't, I say now, it wasn't Bluntsworth. That was a younger, a different version of him. And I think that the whole idea behind that was to, like I was saying before, create something where I could where I could use the platform to send a more positive message. And when it was all said and done and it hit the internet, and it's crazy because I didn't put anything on the internet for quite many years. I was anti putting anything anywhere. In fact, my music was available directly from my own site where I owned it, where I collected my own revenue and everything else up until maybe a year, and up until the album that you're talking about.
I love that. I still am about that life, honestly.
Yep, same. There's very exclusive music available that I have right now. You got a little bit right there. I got USB bracelets that they have very, very exclusive, and I prefer exclusivity, which is something I want to attack here in this interview. Not that I'm reclusive, and I have been, and I prefer it that way. Sometimes I'm not very social, but you'll find in meeting me that I'm very social. But I will say, man, maybe I shouldn't. Run the question.
What were you gonna say? Now I'm intrigued.
I don't know if I was going in the right direction with it. I don't know.
All right. Well,
it might not be.
If you decide to circle back,
yeah. Okay.
Where
with that?
Where were you when you started formulating this project? Were you still in New Jersey at that point?
I was right here in Manchester.
Oh.
Well, I was in Manchester, New Hampshire at the time. Not the Bluntsworth didn't go public until New Hampshire.
Okay. Was there something that happened here in your experiences that made you want to turn that switch, or did you just kind of need to pace yourself until you got there?
Dude, just so y'all know, right? It happened like this, right? October 10th, I think 22, we saw Earth Gang at Toad's Place. This fellow named Doran Pierre opened up the show. The following April, maybe the 15th, we saw, and excuse me, during that show of Earth Gang, you know, Tina here to my right said, you know, that could have been you, right? She said, that could have been you. I'm like, the fuck, yeah, whatever, man. Me? Get out of here, whatever. And then the following April, it was April 15th, we were at the nonfiction 25th anniversary at the Shaskeen, and it was April, I want to say 2002, 15?
April 15th.
And we saw Byron G and Cody Pope light it the fuck up.
Damn.
And she turned and she looked at me and she said, that should be you. And just so you understand, like, where we come from, it was inspiring. It was a movement that you have moved us, and to see someone like me do it, like, just to be doing it, and there was a lot of moving pieces, and I didn't know anything about the live scene and, excuse me, how to approach it, but that turning point, I can go to Nebraska after. Yes, that December 31st.
Nebraska.
My good brother Vada, young Vada, what up, bro? We're celebrating his birthday. Mine's the 31st, the first. We're two sides of the same coin. And he had Twisted Insane as his guest and performing. They did their damn thing. One of the artists dropped off the bill, and as soon as we got off the plane in Nebraska, we were rental when he called and said, hey, you know, one of the artists, I believe he said, like, yo, one of the artists dropped off the bill, like, how do you feel about getting on stage? Like, you know, he made it, there was an opportunity there, and I was briefly shook, but I got with the fucking business, and I handled that shit, and I went, and I can't believe I'm saying this, man, but that very, very, very first performance, I did open for both my brother and Twisted Insane and several other dope, amazing, talented people, comedians and such. We had a beautiful dinner before, but that performance, I definitely, it will surface in the future. I definitely kicked it over my own vocals, yo. I'm so sorry. It's the only time ever that you will ever capture any such a thing, and it cringes me when I watch the footage from it. It's never been shared or surfaced or anything, but that's the only time there's just, and I just want to make it very clear, just like, yo, if you're a performer, perform. If I want to hear your record, I'll buy it. You know, I'll spin that record. You know what I mean? I interviewed this one cat once, and he quoted Chester from Linkin Park. And it was just simple as this. If you can't perform it live, don't record it at all.
Yep. And
I live by that, man. Like, when I'm in there, I feel like I'm already on the stage. So anyways, back to your question.
No, I love that. So that's damn. Well, that's powerful that you mentioned my show in the midst of that.
That's part of our journey, man. That's the very beginnings of the Bluntsworth public journey. Like I said, bringing me out to the light to a people was not easy, and it wasn't something I don't care. That's fuck it, we'll go there. Right? A lot of artists feel like they have to be every damn show, or they have to get onto every little thing, man. Exclusivity is where I stopped, right? I prefer exclusivity. If, again, some people have heard me say this, but say Jordan designed a shoe and he releases, say 1,000 of them, right? And spreads them across the world globally. Like, just fuck it. We'll say he only made 500 of them, and that's all that you can buy. The value of it, right, is increased because you can't just get it anywhere. But if Shaq makes like a mass production of whatever and puts it on the assembly line and throws it into Walmart and everybody can get them, the value is a little bit less. So it's more affordable. Everybody can get it, right? So that's what I prefer. If I could do maybe 1 or 2 or 3 shows a year, hell yeah. If I could make those 3-4 shows very impactful and an experience you'll never get anywhere else, man, which is exactly what you're gonna get, then hell yeah. But one, I'm a metal influence, alternative influence. I'm influenced by so many things that, a lot of times there'll be like a wave of this, like not a wave, but like a carrot on a stick of, I got this major artist and that major artist and that major artist. And this is not targeting anyone and no one in particular. This is just, it's anywhere, on any side of the coast, everywhere. I've been up and down it and it's anywhere. And it's like, just throw me a carrot that ain't already chewed on or something, And I understand, like, a lot of people want exposure. I'm in it for exposure. I'm not about building fans. Our intents are different. When your intent is different, you get a different result, man. I'm not so much interested in fans as I am interested in impacting people and leaving an impact. You can leave your impact on people, or you can leave an imprint. An imprint will fade over time. Your impact will live forever.
Absolutely, dude. You ain't kidding.
And it took me a minute that's new to me. That's new to me, and that's why I'm on the journey that I'm on. And right now, it's quite a test. Let me tell you, it's quite a test. But exclusivity, man, don't be afraid to know your value. I don't have $1 here with me right now, but just imagine, right? Fuck it. Maybe it'll impact somebody. Maybe, right? But this is how I roll, right? Number 10, this is a $100 bill. All right, this is a $100 bill. So we all in this, just for the sake of this, say this is a $100 bill. Shame, I don't got it on me right now. Let's just say that it is, right? You want this $100 bill? You want this $100 bill?
Always.
Okay. Hold up. Up under the, get it a little messy, rub it under my shoe. I'm gonna, whatever, get a little dust on it or whatever else, and maybe rub it on the mic, whatever. Do you want this $100 bill? You still want the 100? You still want the 100?
Yeah, if it ain't ripped, it's still $100.
Even in America, if it's ripped just a little bit, it's like so down that, it still has value, right? That's it. It still has value. Like, your value. Like, no matter how many times it got kicked around and I did all that dirt, did everything to it, it still has its value. And man, let me tell you, every time I forget that, something reminds me. So it seems like I was the one that was impacted here tonight. But like I was saying when I started that, it's a test. I'm being tested. Bluntsworth is being tested, and that's fine. And it's a pleasure to be here. More love, more love, more love. Straight up.
So obviously you've been involved in music in a long time, but in terms of like the Bluntsworth saga, in just a few short years, you've put out not only an extensive amount of releases, but you've also done a lot of shows and some like cross-country touring as well. Yeah. When you were talking about your working experience doing the stagehand stuff, it really got me thinking. And then of course all our technical shit happened. But has your experience as a stagehand affected or influenced the way that you approach doing live music too?
I get paid to watch the greatest performers in the world, to be standing side stage while they, like, I get paid to stand there and watch them fuck shit up on that motherfucking stage. And I've learned something new every single time. There's so much that goes to being a performer. And I know what passion looks like. I know what when somebody walks on the stage and everyone in the front row just bursts into tears because they're breathing the same fucking air as that person. Has it impacted my life? Fuck yeah. Maybe not directly by those artists, but I work with their crews, their managers, their producers, their front of house, their freaking video, audio, lighting. I work with all those people. Hell yeah. Yes, that definitely, if you are a recording artist, you should be a stagehand. Period. There's nothing else about it. Your job can't match that pay. There's ways to get healthcare. There's ways to feed your family. There's ways, but you will be a slave for the rest of your life. And this is my own opinion. And again, this story comes from every stagehand. And I know some of you out there know me that are stagehands. They'll tell you, man, we'll never look back to what life was like. What? Look to a 9 to 5. What, man? I got to work on me. I need my time right now, and everything I could do for you, I could do for me better. I know my value. I know my worth. None of that would be possible, though. And this is not a spot, but get yourself a dot card. It's the greatest $20 I've ever spent, and it came right before we landed in Nebraska, and that was the first time. Listen, a dot card. Because what I do as a stagehand and the security, I know y'all are wondering, like, yo, you just got your phone out or whatever. No, fuck no, I'm not supposed to have my shit out. And no, I can't be filming. It's like, what I do is very high clearance. So, dot card, bam, and passes just like, bam, here's my info, bam, tap it on that motherfucker. Tap, 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 tap. Right? Just, hey, I'm passing. I'll catch up with you when I get to Atlanta. Dude, also, as a stagehand, if you're part of the union or if you're part of anything like me, I work for Live Nation during the summer season, and off season I work for other venues, whatever it is. But if I'm touring and I'm a recording artist, and I know that I've trajected a tour up the coast, I can line my shit up. Anywhere I stop. If I need money and there's a show happening, I have work. I don't have to show up, but I can call and like, hey, yo, I'm either this union or I work from whatever the fuck else. There's this show going on or whatever. Do you need stagehands? Do you need crew? Need local crew? Whatever it is. Most of the time it's a yes. Or if most of us are so connected that you can call from half the other side of the country before you even get there. Like, yo, I got work. Some of these guys get called out to Florida. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's an opportunity, and it was in front of my face for a long time. It was during the Cody Manson G Strings and Switchblades tour. These guys they were talking about my tour mates. They were all talking about how they've just been touring. Like they've been on tour for 2 years or for however long they've been. They were just on for so long. And I'm like, yo, so like, how the fuck are you paying for this shit? You mean to tell me like you're on the road all the time? They're like all the time, you're doing shit like all the artists in different places that I met. That's all they did, and I was like, man, that would be wonderful if that's all I could do. But are you getting paid to do that shit? They're like, fuck no, I'm a stagehand. like fuck no, I'm not getting paid for my music right now, man. Like, I'm a stagehand though, so I could do whatever I want, you know. It's freelance, and it maybe 2 years after that is when I dove into it. But yeah, man, built the Globetrotters court. I just did NCAA a couple weeks ago. You might catch me on the replays or some shit, especially when they did the kid crawl. Like you'll see it, like us on the side with Zambonis and shit. Crazy, but it definitely has impacted my music, my career, but nowhere near as much as my own networking and relationship building. Nowhere near. It's impacted it, but I can't just pick up my phone and be like, yo, maybe I can pick up my phone and be like, yo, hey, if Jason Aldean's coming to town, he's got a residency, but he's also going up down the coast for the next 6 months. Of course, I probably could, but I would be cramped up in a bus or a hotel or whatever for a very long, uncomfortable time. No matter how much money they're paying, it would be uncomfortable. Especially if I just picked up and left. It would be uncomfortable. I've done that once before. Ended up on a van in the middle seat for like fucking 2 weeks. But yeah, it has impacted my music and my career.
What are some of those like early touring experiences like for you in these last few years? I know you've done a bunch of runs by yourself. You've done runs opening for bigger artists. You've done runs in big groups of artists. You've seemed to have traversed a number of unique experiences already. What were some of the like highlights and lowlights of those so far?
I definitely have been blessed with an array of different opportunities from several different angles. And if we're just talking about early on, my very first touring experience was unmatched, even to this day. It was with Full Blast, and it was the R.A. the Rugged Man tour with DJ Lala, the U.S. leg, when he branched off from the Three-Headed Monsters. And just the first night, first of all, was hip-hop history. It was at the Brooklyn Meadows, and never mind all of us who were on the bill. Mad love to everybody at Full Blast, Laura Michelle, Jay Hirsch, AWOL, oh my goodness, so soon, everybody, Tony Dimes. Never mind everybody that was on the bill. The people that came through to celebrate what we do in music that night, all in one place at one time. Okay? I think Chino XL.
And rest in peace.
Grandmaster Kaz. Raheem, the Furious Five. First of all, I was at the bar. I'm at the bar. I'm grabbing my drinks and shit. And forgive me, but this was my introduction to Grandmaster Kaz, and I wish I knew he was before this happened, because it would have been even funnier. But I'm grabbing my drinks, and this fella comes up to the bar. He's like, yo, give me the Don Julio and the top notch this, and he wants this one up at the top and whatever else. The bartender starts to grab it, and he puts it, and I felt this arm around my back, and he goes and put it all on his tab. I looked over like, who the fuck is this dude? This motherfucker. Like, he was just playing, but he got me. And Kaz was one of the dopest human beings you could ever be around, and one of the fathers of hip hop. Like one of the fathers of what we do. And then we went to go get a pastrami sandwich from around the corner. Okay, this is real shit. This is shit. Like, these are story. That was probably one of the most powerful questions you could have asked me. Okay, we go we leave the venue. We make a right turn, we go up, and a motherfucking rat the size of a chihuahua jumped out on a motherfucker, son. That shit just came out of nowhere. Yo, we go to after we crossed the street around that bitch and went over to the fucking store and got my pastrami back. We were on our way back when all of a sudden this fellow in a motherfucking pink on a goddamn pink scooter, the moped. What the fuck was it? Listen, it was bright pink. I don't know if he had a helmet, but he's like, yo, what's up? Now we're in Brooklyn, all right? I ain't even call in. I ain't let nobody. Maybe I did. I made a few calls, but I ain't know what was up, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? So we're in Brooklyn. We're supposed to be in the venue at the show, and it's a thing. This is when I first realized that every time we perform, we have to foodie the town, which is a thing when you're toured, and everybody has a thing. Look, man, this fool pulled up and was like, yo, what's up? Where's the party at? Or whatever. And I'm like, depending on where you're from, that already is like, you ain't supposed to be around here. Fuck you doing around here for? So we thought something, right? We suspected. He's like, so I was like, yo, it's over here. It's over here. It's around here. He's like, yeah, my man said that ain't nobody's really there, but people are showing up and it's popping, it's cracking, and whatever else. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. It's packed in there. The people are in there. It's right over here at the Meadows or whatever. He was on the phone with somebody, and he was getting some bad news. The bad news actually turned out to be the news about was it Royal Flush. And the gentleman that we were talking to we didn't know who he was still at this time. We thought we were getting ran up on. So he was on the phone, and I'm just telling you who that turned out to be. So the fellow was Joe Fatal that ran up on us, and I think he said something about want some of my pastrami sandwich. He was like, yo, what y'all got in the bag or whatever. That's when I knew we was getting robbed. But we didn't get robbed. We rolled with him. We showed him where the party was. We rolled with him. We walked him over to the venue, into the party. Turns out that he calls RA on the phone while RA's on this. I think he was on the stage, and he's like, "Yo, whatever it was that night." There were so many moving parts, but let me tell you, we got ran up on by Joe Fatal, and just for the sake of how much history in hip hop, again, this is unmatched and probably will never happen again in the same place. But Joe Fatal is probably more of a pillar in hip hop than anyone you've ever known. He's the man that connected everyone that you love in hip hop, 90s hip hop. He fucking paid for Nas's first demo. He introduced Joe Fatal, looked the fellow up. Joe, what up? Thank you for not robbing us that night, because we know you could have put hands on us. You know what I'm saying? It's all love, mad love. That was just the first night of the Full Blast. All right, I know Full Blast put on mad dope shows, but nothing will ever be that tour. Straight up, nothing will ever be that tour ever again. And I think it spoiled the fuck out of me. And every time I do a tour, I say that, I'm like, yo, I'm never gonna get that back. The second night, I think, was Providence. Either way. Nah, it was Shasky was the third night. Either way, so yeah, as we went on, we had Timbo King was at one of them. Z, Pace One. It just was unmatched, man. But every other tour after that, it seemed like it was just kind of chasing that same element of once in a lifetimeness. You know what I mean? I built a lot of relationships on that tour. But following that, I did a one-off show, opening for Lex the Hexmaster at the Raven that following October, right before I left to tour the East Coast, which actually changed. That's what changed. A lot of what was happening. Not only did it change my reality of things and just how I handled things, it changed how I dealt with people. I've met every type and kind of person, human, good, bad, ugly, that you could imagine, and was in scenarios that just I never thought I could probably get out of. And it wasn't even all that. It just seemed like they would never end, I'll say. But that changed so much that it also changed my music. It impacted me so much that you could start to hear a different, more passionate, a more painful version of me, and it wasn't. You ever heard it? You probably never heard of the term, but it hurt so good. You know, it just hurts so good. Like, you ever get like, I guess like an itch or something that hurts. It's like under the skin, you can't reach it, or it's like it kind of feels better when you apply a little bit more pressure to it. It still hurts, but like it's like that pressure kind of scratches the itch somehow. Maybe it's just me. But that's if it's just me, it's just me. But I have a knack for being able to repurpose, rechannel negative energy into a much more positive, powerful, radiant energy. And it's selective. It goes both ways. And we all have it. You have the power to change your own narrative, man. And I dove into that just off of that. But yes, I think I answered that question.
So you've put out 5 projects over the since 2019, and you've done a number of tours in that time as well. So you did the first tour shortly after the first record came out. So you've done presumably a number of both since then. How does touring and releasing music look like today compared to back when that first Bluntsworth LP dropped?
I believe that it's I believe the touring impacted so much of what I when you see different things, man, when you experience more of the world, you have more to talk about. You have more to discuss. You have more to admire. You have more to take time to learn and to discover. The more you see and the more you allow yourself to see. And during those times, if you're not careful of what you allow yourself to see, you also receive those things, and everything becomes something. So I feel that not so much the touring itself, but the experiences during touring change, how I write music and how I tell my stories. I've seen the look of love while I was waiting for a train once. I saw the look of love once I was waiting for a train, and it wasn't even in the form that I thought I expected it to be. It was a woman, she was departing, and her dog didn't want her to leave. And her husband couldn't get the dog sent. Saw the look of love, and she cried harder than she did when her husband was hugging her to leave, just seeing the dog. That was a look of love. I paint that picture different, paint it in a different way. I see things different, man. And I took time during that particular time to hear people's stories and people that were impacted by my music. And at the first time it happened, I wasn't quite sure how to receive it. That somebody was impacted by, they were even listening at all. It blew my mind. And that same dollar trick, and it's not a trick, but that analogy that I shared with you, which I actually had a $10 bill, and at the time it was the only is all I had. And it just kept finding its way back from somebody that was impacted by it. The things that I see, things that happen, to answer your question, and that I experience, and whether it's on tour or not, are gonna change the way, because I'll continue to grow, and I think the more I grow, the more I see things in a more clarity, a little bit more clarity. You know, not to be vague. Mad peace to everybody. Mad love, mad love. I just want you to know, I'm not trying to be cryptic, but if you understand, you understand. If this message is meant for you, anything I say, no matter how I drift off, if it's meant for you, you'll hear it. If it's not meant for you, it's not going to be for you. But I just want y'all to know I appreciate you for listening in the first place. You know, head up.
What does the rest of 2025 look like for Bluntsworth?
Before you go there, I think I've released, believe it or not, only 2 projects in my catalog. Bluntsworth LP and KMFR. And everything else are either singles, Bury Me Alive, an instrumental album, the Barai. But everything else they're singles attached to albums already. But the EP itself and how I released them, but just for the record, I've only got one EP, one really super long LP introduction, which is not as popular as I thought. I'm not a big fan of it myself.
You're not a big fan of your instrumental work?
No, the Bluntsworth LP. I'm not a huge fan of that one because it's such a younger version of Bluntsworth.
That's
and the content in which he's discussing isn't all that relevant, but there are some good songs on there. To answer your question though, 25, I have some side projects. Young Z from Outsiders and I, we are 2 blended, got an EP dropping. Cahoots, a producer named Cahoots out from out west. We have a Collusion album. Both of these are, the Collusion album is actually like 8.5 minutes, like a 9-minute mini little joint. It's a real quick smoke. It's really Bluntsworth for real. I am currently promoting Kill Motherfucking Radio, KMFR, with very few live performances, exclusive performances, some of which I'm cutting records, some of which I'm just doing instrumental sets. Not one performance is the same, and it's very limited. A few dates were cut off due to for whatever reasons they were cut, and that was by my own choice. I reserve the right to be selective in which who I do business with. But I will probably be doing, if Myth gives me that opportunity, I'll say us. I would like to finish off the Unhinged project at the Shaskeen for my 3rd annual, and just once a year. It's I look forward to it, and it would be nice if maybe this fall I could just wrap it up with that. I do want to say, Matt, big shout out to Sean Strange and Chubbs. I appreciate these dudes so much, man. I had an opportunity to support that. Mad love out there overseas. Mad love out there. Mad love.
Fee the Evolutionist said Shaskeen. He knows the deal.
Yeah.
Shout out to the home team. Shout out to DJ Myth. Shout out to Josh.
I gotta say, yeah. And if there's anybody out there, mad love. But the Shaskeen, like it's where I got my stage legs, man. I learned so much there. Thank you, Sean Caliber. Thank you, I9. I learned so much. I'm not there enough, but they show me love. And like I said, that's where it started for me. So no matter where I go in all these stages that I am, man, like when I step on that stage, it's different for me. It's a whole nother, man, I don't care if anybody's there or not. It's just, there's so much power. And like I said, that's where I was standing when it came to me, when all of this came to me. And so it's always an honor to be there. It's always an honor to be there.
Straight up. I gotta give a big shout out to Undukati. Undukati used to always say the Shaskeen is Manchester Square Garden.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better name for
it.
Look,
man, I've been on stages all over, but if you can perform on that stage, you can perform anywhere in the world.
Straight up.
That stage, if you can't perform on that stage, don't even do this shit. Don't even bother.
You can kill it at rap night.
Yeah, that's where it's at, man. If you can do that, do
You
that.
can face your most serious critics, your toughest to please
Yeah,
fans.
hell yeah. You'll learn a lot about yourself.
Straight
A whole
up.
lot about yourself, yeah.
Feed the evolutionists that keep grinding and making dope tracks, Bluntsworth.
Yo, mad love, Fee, mad love.
And Sells Buckham shouted you out as well.
Sells Buck, Tribe, what up, Tribe? Everybody out there, Tribe. Grandma, if you out there, I love you. Jesse, everybody.
So I gotta backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, let's go.
So I need you to break this down for me.
Talk to me,
man. So I'm sitting here. I got the Bluntsworth EPK open.
Mm-hmm.
I got my fact sheets here,
Mm-hmm.
and you just spun my world around. So I want to ask you about some of these records in your discography, and will you just give me like a brief explanation on like what that kind of means to you?
Yeah.
So obviously we've talked about Bluntsworth LP.
Mhm.
That's been a good one.
Mhm.
But the next thing I see is Famous Last Words.
I. Okay.
Talk to me.
All right. So I can't double back, but Famous Last Words was actually, I stand corrected. It was the first. It's the real introduction to Bluntsworth. That's
Okay.
Bluntsworth. That's the first. Like I said, I don't even count Bluntsworth LP. You know, it's a young growth. It's like, you know, I don't know how to explain that. You know, it's a face only a mother or father could love. You know, and Famous Last Words is where the journey starts. That's where it begins, and that is actually an EP. The Bluntsworth LP itself was not originally it was originally a physical release that I think I tested digitally in the world of releases, but it's what's the word, predecessor I'm looking for, was Not Okay, which is a single which you'll see a single, Not Okay, which was to be the only release. It originally was a physical release before the COVID era, but if we're going to talk about Famous Last Words, that was right before the touring, and I was experiencing I was broken, and I needed to create something to remind myself, because it was just me, and it wasn't just me. It felt like it was just me. So I had to create something to keep my head up, man.
Now what about Long Kiss Goodbye?
Long Kiss Goodbye it's unreleased. It's set to be released May 19th. The song, the title track, and music video is released. It's been available for a year. I've been working on it it was the first thing. So after I got back off of that East Coast tour, I went out west. Right before the East Coast tour, we were out west for Dia de los Deftones. And during that time, my good brothers in Drum Metrics invited me to be a part of that Drum Metrics collective and that family. And that changed how I produce music and how I approach music. And it's based on the drum. And when I came back, I didn't do anything the way I knew how to do it. I only produced with the drum, and I needed to create something. And there was a lot of animosity and a lot of angers involved in that creation process and the sounds. But for the first time, I was able to create sounds that conveyed everything I felt emotionally without my vocals, which is why these projects are released with their instrumental counterparts, It's that it came first. I prefer you'd rather listen to the instrumental anyway. I feel like you'd be more impacted by that, just like I was, you know. But Long Kiss Goodbye, yeah. May 19th, the full actual album will be available digitally this upcoming May 19th. May 19th. Motherfucker.
And that's a Monday, right?
I don't know. I don't know what day it is, but May 19th itself is
it's a Monday.
It's significant to me, and in so many different ways. May 19th, Long Kiss Goodbye. Like I said, I was broken, and it came from a very different time, a learning time, a growing time. You ever trying to make this make sense for folks? But can you feel your hair growing? Right? You can't feel your hair growing, but it's growing, right? You can't feel your nails growing, but they're definitely growing, right? And I believe that Long Kiss Goodbye was me being able to capture that growth in the sound, in the form of sound. Somehow I captured that growth, and it's in that little divot and crevice in time. Please make it make sense. But listen, seriously though, if it makes sense to you, it makes sense to you. All that matters to me really is that whatever version of me of Bluntsworth that you hear, that you're impacted by it. I have something for everyone in every mood and most circumstances, to be honest with you. And man, this dude has some really good questions. I'm a horrible interviewee. Damn. You guys know I do other things like, voice talent. I'm a good artist, a good producer. I'd be like, yeah, motherfucker. It's Bluntsworth over here. Don't fucking play with me. I'll call Vada up and then get up here on the phone and start rapping in a voice or something. I don't know any rappers. I do know a rapper with a voice like that. Mad love. I gotta interject. Mad love. Peace. More peace. That one was just for me, because if I don't do that, then I'll probably wake up tomorrow and choose violence or some shit. And like, be cool. I make a better villain, but I love. Give love, more love. Come on, y'all. I gotta have fun. What else you got?
So, I don't want to take up too much of your time, because we've been really lucky to keep this thing going despite technical difficulties, and we've had some really good back and forth. But when I go to close these things out, I meet people from so many different backgrounds. It's like last week I was talking to a chef. It's like sometimes I'm talking to a life coach, sometimes I'm talking to an artist or a musician, sometimes I'm talking to an athlete. All of these people go through unique experiences, but they're also kind of like shared obstacles sometimes, if that makes sense. And so what I would like to ask you to close this thing out is, what is a piece of advice that you would give anybody that you met that reflects your life experience?
Do it now. Do it now. You love someone, do it now. Give them roses now. If you have an itch, scratch it now. Your dog needs to take a shit, walk it now. You're thinking about your brother, call her now. Your sister, call her now. Your brother, call him now. Or whatever it is, do it now. Tomorrow will never come, and as soon as you think of it that way, just change everything. And I think I might need to say that. Might be a self-reminder, but dude, look, I'm just telling you, do it now. Do it now.
Man, I think that's so important. I say that I try to say that and live that all the time, where it's like, not to be cliche, but it's like, you don't always know if you have tomorrow.
Yep.
We've all lost
You're not
people,
promised.
and like your time just is running thin.
You're not promising any of that.
You got the battery in your back, just run with it and do it.
Man, I know you're wrapping it up. I got some questions for you.
Oh, okay. Well,
So, have you listened to any of those projects?
yeah, absolutely.
Do you have
So you sent me a couple joints from KMFR, and so those are the ones I'm most familiar with. But I'm definitely like, I follow you on Spotify, so I have a lot of your stuff on there.
Yeah.
But that's why, like, the time that I was going through your catalog the most in depth was when I was doing the Hybrid Theory radio thing, and that's where Be Cool really like stuck out to me, because I come from like a punk rock and metal and hardcore background, so I can appreciate a lot of the there's like a more, I say like a visual aspect, but there's more color musically as well, if that makes sense. And so I can appreciate that, because I get a lot of like the Camus Tao kind of vibe from the stuff that you're doing.
Those were some serious. Yeah, now that we're in person, man, like, and I'm gonna cut you off, but what the fuck, Camus Tao, like? What hip hop rock did you crawl from under to even say that name, and to know that I'm the one that would understand that language? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that day, I think later on that night, Mad Love, Miss Darlene Brown requested me, as a friend, and it's been very sweet and very amazing. A lot of you who don't know that is, if you know Kim Tell, who Tame One is. It's his mom. You know what I mean? That's a big deal, and it was such a cosmic connection, because then I'm working with Z on this project, Young Z on this project, to, this and Weatherman and all that. The whole world of it is just a beautiful thing, and so it's mad love. Damn, man.
The thing that struck me the most about that song, right? So what I was getting at is, while I relate to and have like a vast appreciation for the theatricality of how much you present in the music, I really feel like Be Cool is the most, how do I say this? It's the most undisguised version of you, where it's like I like that you like your explanation of the face paint and stuff is dope, right?
Yeah.
But like, as a fan, I don't need that.
Yeah.
The way you showed up and met me, or the way we would FaceTime, that person is still Bluntsworth to me. And so the music represented, I felt like that side of you, where it's like, this is like your like war side, where it's like life can be war and the day can really like attack you.
I'm
so
fighting.
You use this to protect yourself.
I'm fighting.
But
right
I
now.
like when you're vulnerable.
Yep.
And I feel like those moments of like doing a song like Be Cool. You posted something the other day of you like in a suit smoking a cigar.
Yep.
I was like, I like this side of you, because it's like, I don't think everybody knows how, like, it's very like animalistic, right?
Yeah.
When you come out with the paint, the loud fucking
yeah.
shock noises, all this stuff, people don't always know how to react to that. It's like when you go to somebody's house and they got like a crazy dog, and it's like, yo, no, everybody loves my dog. It's cool. And it's like, well, your dog can touch my fucking shoulders and like dig in and scare the shit out of me. You know what I mean?
Man, that's
and
so great.
That's the thing that's like, I like that so much about your art, because it's like you hold this flag of like, you have to do it for you first. That's the only way it fucking makes sense, is like, you have to do it on your behalf. But from somebody who's, obviously I haven't done as much as you theatrically in that sense, but like having that sort of like angst and energy driven core to music, I've had to like figure out how to like soften that core to become like something that more people can be malleable to, if that makes sense. Where it's like, I don't ever want to sacrifice Cody Pope, but it's like, you had said something earlier that kind of like struck the same chord, where it's like, I want like the 57-year-old guy on the construction site, and the 23-year-old hip hop kid, and the 32-year-old single mom, and the bartender at the bar, to all like find something in my catalog that I like. And you have to like be willing to unshell that human side of you. And so Be Cool is, I think, a very like first glimpse of like, hey, like I'm like cracking open a little bit, so like take the opportunity to dig in. And I don't know if that was like your intention with that necessarily, but it was just the most approachable record as like a music listener, like a non-biased music listener.
I'll share some a few things. The paint originally came from that Dia de los Deftones before we went there, and we were celebrating Dia de los Muertos.
That's sick.
And it actually was much more, and it was picked up by the magazine Brooklyn Vegan. There's a photo of it that's in print. And it was right before I experienced all of those touring experiences. When you see it visually, just so that you know, especially if you're a fan, and it can be very off-putting, but if you see me in this mask and it's something that offends you at the time that I'm wearing it, because I'm not always wearing it, especially when I'm performing, then you're probably one of those demons that I'm shunning away, because it will take on you. It'll attract who is necessary to attract. You'll also find that visually in my music videos and certain places and times that I perform, there is no paint during those performances. I just released a music video, Red Leaf, with Timbo King. I'm not masked up.
That joint.
I'm not masked up. We were in Brooklyn. It was cold as hell. Like I typically would, but that song doesn't. I'm not fighting anything in that song. We smoking weed. You know, it's not.
I appreciate that versatility.
There's you will find as you go through my catalog, and there's certain videos where there's a different. You're talking to a whole nother. The Mad Hatter. If you listen to my music, I'm talking about Mad Hat Stepper. That's like a Jekyll and Hyde is Bluntsworth and Hat Stepper. So when he's twisted, he's locked up, he's all twisted up, man. That's here. He's fighting something. He's trying to get it out of there. And when you see me in that, without the mask, without that, it's not that I'm in a more comfortable, complacent state. I'm in a more social mood. And like I explained before, you know, I'm not necessarily reclusive, but I prefer exclusivity, and that means even my motherfucking time. And you know, it's just that very simple. Excuse me, it's just me. But it's just like that. You know, those are different versions of me that you're seeing, that you'll experience. If you see me come out onto that stage with the fucking mask on, you know, whatever the fuck, I'm about to blow you the fuck away. I'm about to blow you away. If I come out on the stage without it on, I'm still about to blow you the fuck away. So, you know, but the message will go to whomever it may be. And I might be fighting something that this person might need to be fighting too. And so again, and the paint's not always the same. It's not always the same. Before I was more in the mood to put a couple tears over here and just put some real war shit going on. But that's not the case. It's the Chi way. It's one love right here, you know.
You said something about if people like got offended by your paint. Is that something that you've come across? Like, do people challenge you or like question why it is that you do
it was
that?
more of a remark on the analogy with the barking dog. I get that, but you know, yes, if somebody's afraid of how that looks, which are strangely enough, I've never experienced somebody offended by it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't understand that, honestly. You know, it's like you go to see an artist, you want them to do their pure art, whatever that means.
I am the shock value, and sometimes for them, that is the shock value. I come out there on the mask, and I'll be just like this, and I'll pull out a fucking $10 bill, and next thing you know, everybody in the front row is impacted. They don't even see the mask. They just hear, know your value. You know what I mean? None of that even matters. Or if it does matter to them and they're that superficial, it'll be like, I'll bust out with the Cab Calloway, you know, a 1929 classic, and they'd be like, what's happening? You know, whatever it is. It's in another sense, you said before, yes, I am doing it for me first. I will always be doing it for me first. Like I said, I'll clock out for somebody else. But I showed up there to expose you to something that happened to me first. And again, these songs are reminders for me first. And shit, you wouldn't hear them if I didn't like them first. You know? I don't know, man. I don't know. So KMFR, I think, are you able to play anything and like maybe on that USB?
So is it stuff that's released?
It's unreleased, and you will not have any problems. I realized we figured that out, that would be one of those things. But yeah, totally unreleased. Anywhere, nowhere, anywhere. But I think this is something that I think you would enjoy. It's part of a Kinetic project. Everything drum metrics and myself. This is produced by Mr. Pete Momo. I got you. I know now that's not, anyway, anytime I do that, not to do that. So yeah, that production in the background, who made that?
So all this sound bed was produced by Even Though, and then the opening intro track was done by Byron.
I've seen Even Though a couple times, man.
All right, let me. So I think I have to figure out how to get this to myself because we're using all of the USB slots right now.
Oh shit!
Do you have any of them in your email? Do you have any joints you could email to me?
Maybe. Perhaps I do.
So if you guys are still tuned in, let me fix this. If you guys are still tuned in here, we're going to play like an exclusive joint or two before we wrap this thing up tonight. So thank you guys for rocking with us. Thank you guys for sticking through the technical difficulties earlier in the episode. And yeah, we're going to close out with a couple special joints before we call it a night.
I'm going to forward it. I actually just sent it out right before I left. Yo, thank you for taking the time again. Yo, when did you decide to get on the up and up and perform your music? When did it become a thing?
So, interestingly enough for me, I started playing music when I knew I wanted to do music since I was like a child. It came very early on. Like I went to my first concerts in like 5th grade. I saw my first punk and hardcore shows in 7th grade. And I just was in the zone from there. And
you've been doing music all these years, all this time.
Yeah, dude. So I joined my first like real band, I would say it was 14. I joined a hardcore band when I was a sophomore in high school. And that was the first time that I like got in the studio and like recorded shit and like started playing shows and like going on tours and things like that. And so I did that at 14. And once I was 15, going into 16, I joined a more like prominent hardcore band at the time. And so I was able to do like an East Coast and like Southern USA tour and like learn the record label thing. And I figured out at that point that was exactly like what I wanted to spend my life doing. But then it was like probably another 3 years after that. So I was probably about 19 or 20 when I transitioned into hip hop, because the band stuff like took the life out of me, where you would make a bunch of progress and have some opportunity open up. And now it's like, how do we get 5 of us to all contribute equally, be on the same page, not have girlfriends or boyfriends or family members or whatever,
creative conflicts and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like there were times where like I would be in a band and we would get to like, I was in a band that got offered a European tour. We were going to open for this like at the time legendary like New York hardcore band, and 4 out of 5 of us were ready to get passports and drop everything. The only thing I had to do was I was going to have to play bass for that band, which like, oh, gee whiz, I got to go play like a legendary fucking hardcore band. And then my band will open. And our drummer didn't want to go because he didn't want to leave his girlfriend. Mind you, we were like 16 at the time or something like that. And but it was like these things happen. And so, you know, at the time you're like disgruntled and frustrated and whatever. But luckily, like I'd always loved hip hop. My first concert was the Hard Knock Life tour. And, you know, I was like, I just always loved, like my friends rapped. I grew up like freestyling, but I just was a hardcore kid at heart. I never thought like I was going to be a rapper. That was not like, I just didn't see that for myself. And thank everything that my friends that rapped saw the potential in me, because when I was getting fed up with the band shit, they were like, dude, you should fucking rap. They're like, you write, you perform, you do all this. Like, and I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I've never been like a one-man band kind of thing. And I started in like we started like a trio. It was like my 2 best friends that inspired me to rap and me. And we had a group that we called On Dogs, which was funny because I played in a band briefly called On Dogs as well. Shout out to G. And so we were On Dogs, but then that didn't like work out because one of the homies like wanted to move at a different pace. So then it was like me and one of my best friends, who was one of the kids that taught me to rap, we became VCOD, and we like played shows and put out like demos, but it was still like we were rapping over YouTube shit. We didn't like know producers or anything like that. We literally like recorded a demo off YouTube beats and through shows in our apartment. We literally would like, book bands, bring a PA, and just load people in our apartment and like go in. And after doing that for like 2 years or so, my partner in that duo just like wasn't really feeling the music shit at that point and just was like wanting to do other things. And so I was just like, yo, like, how would you feel if I did a solo thing and just like did my own shit? And he was like, bro, I back you 100%. Like, and 2012.
Let's see you grow.
2012, I put out Hellhound for Hire. That was my first mixtape, and I just never looked back. And luckily, like, a lot of the people that were down with me from the jump still fucking ride with me.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
For sure. I've been really fortunate in that sense. Like even shout out my brother Ryan in the chat, Longboard Ninja Master. He's been down. He's always one of the first people in the podcast. He's like one of my best friends, and he's known me since before I started rapping, and so he's supported me all along the way. And there's just like my audience isn't as like wide or as big as I would like it to be. It's certainly not big enough for me to sustain full time. You know, I've had ebbs and flows where I could, but in terms of like long term, I haven't accumulated that kind of audience yet. But what I have been able to do is create like a loyal fan base where it's like people that come into this Hellhound shit. Or back then my old label was called Vatican Life. I did that for like 8 years before Hellhound. And we just really create a community that's like, it's for the weirdos, the fuck ups, the artists, the struggling, whatever. Like, this is a place where we just put the art first. And so people that are fans and friends of ours have really like coalesced into this thing and really like take a sense of pride and ownership in like going out in the world and talking to people about Hellhound and about all the different music that we like put out in our collective.
Has it the transition from hip hop, well, from metal to hip hop, was that a bitch?
That, I mean, you know what's funny?
Because I think we might be the only 2 people that I know that know what that world is like, both sides. And then for you, from Bluntsworth, it's the reason why I asked is because if I'm trying to book, I have to fit somewhere in the alternative area, because sometimes the edge is too sharp on the hip hop side, and sometimes it's too hip hop for the metal side. and it's very difficult to find a booking for me as an artist because of the niche, my niche-esque, if you will. That whole feel is just so I try to dwell in the alternative market, which I love not having a home. It's so Bluntsworth. I love not being able to fit in those categories. And but what I'm releasing lately, I have a lot more hip hop orientated shit. But don't get it twisted. I'm definitely bringing that edge to the scene. And what you'll hear, I think I found a very peculiar balance of that in the track that I have here for you.
Love that. All right, so guys, hold on 1 second. So I'm gonna switch the audio out. So the audio is gonna cut out for like a second, but we're gonna be right back, and then we're gonna play some unreleased music from Bluntsworth right here, right now. Big shout out to JoJo who name dropped the Misfits. Hell yeah! By the way.
Okay.
So let me just switch this audio up 1 sec.
Bro, I hope this blows your mind.
Yo, yo, yo. You guys hear us?
Joint. So the first track is called Kinetic.
Okay.
The whole project is called Kinetic, and I believe it's five or four tracks produced completely by the Drummetrics Collective. It's probably some of the most impactful music I've ever recorded, and some of the most strangest ways that you've ever heard hip hop. And it's only like 4 or 5 tracks. So the Kinetic track is Bluntsworth, I want to say, at its motherfucking finest. It's such a beautiful song to hear. Kinetic, on the move, moving, kinetic. Like, look it up if you're not aware of what kinetic is. Get to it. Just now is the time. And the other one is Bossa Nova. But yeah, nothing on there will flag you in any kind of way, though.
Perfect. All right, guys, 1 sec. We're gonna refresh here so I can shut off the fucking.
Can they hear me? Good there for being patient with us, especially with me. That's why I don't lie, because I can't keep up a story. I can't tell a story. So like just remember that. Like I don't even have that. I don't lie, man, because I suck at trying to remember shit, man. And staying in line on a story. Like I'll drift off into this every which way direction. But before we jump into this, I definitely want to shout out Kathy Buchanan and her grandson Cody. Those are my 2 favorite fans. I love y'all so much. Thank you for your support over the last couple of years. They've literally almost never missed a show. And
people like that.
yeah, they buy my merch. And you know what? I've never experienced anybody be upset that they missed my performance until I met them. And it was just, that was a feeling. But I love y'all. Y'all been down since ever since. And I respect y'all. Can't wait to see you this summer. Cannot wait. Shit's hella good. Looks like a couple song.
Yep. Let us know in the comments what you're feeling.
said Bossa Nova. Right. That's the real trippy track right there. You didn't hear it?
I'm confused. We're definitely. Ryan, you said. I thought when you said Bossa Nova, you were saying that you were hearing it. Now you got me confused.
I can't see what he's saying. Well, they couldn't hear it. So, thank you. Did that one actually play through?
That was Kinetic by Bluntsworth. I'm hoping it did. I can't really tell by the fucking audience reaction. But
yo, I appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
And if you got blessed enough to hear that, that was Mr. Pete Momo on the production, and especially when he finessed them drums. Y'all don't understand. He finessed them drums. Like, that's live music. Right. And most of what I do is live music. And I'd really fuck y'all up if I got a hired gun and grabbed me a drummer. Y'all really be in trouble. Bluntsworth performance would be something unforgettable for real.
Straight up.
But yeah, anyways, there's that track. I know somebody mentioned Bossa Nova. I know we are wrapping up the show, but I definitely want to just want to let everybody know it's mad love always. Like, if you know me, you don't need to know me to know that I'm just gonna give love no matter what. I'm such a dope individual and to the world for every reason. Like, I'll say hi to a dog. You never know. He might have just seen his bitch with another dog, you know, whatever it is. I'll say hi to a tree. You know, I'm just, I want to spread love, man. That's what I try to do. And, don't believe the hype. And what else? Yeah, mad motherfucking love. One love. Missy, I love you. Thank you for support. I'm trying to give some roses right now. Mad love, everybody. Anybody that's checked on me, anybody. and most of all, my kid brothers, Dion, Dino, my sister Vanessa, and the Huff family. Anaya, I love you. Grandma, everybody, all that. You know what it is.
Man, thank you so much for pulling up tonight. It's been a blast having you here. Huge thank you, man. Anything you want to plug before we pull out?
Yo, Soul Invicto. It's the committee business. Go plug in if you like hardcore music and real hardcore metal. Plug in Soul Invicto. It's my mentor Richie Laundress. The band has Stephen Carpenter from Deftones, Eric Bobo, Cypress Hill. It's the family. It's mad love. Go listen to that Obvious Play right now. Rock that. And in the meantime, one love. It's the Chi way.
Preach. Thank you so much, man. Make sure you guys follow the banner down there at Bluntsworth MC and yadot.com. Huge thanks to my guest tonight. What an incredible story to share with us. Thank you guys for rocking with us tonight. I know this was quite like a wild episode, and we had the technical difficulties and all that jazz. So thank you guys for sticking around. We got a couple more crazy episodes coming up over the next few weeks. Make sure you guys tune in every Monday at 8 right here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to Hellhound Publishing. I got some cool stuff coming up too. Until next time, preach.
This program was written, produced, and created for live stream broadcast by Cody Pope. To learn more about Cody Pope and Storytellers Creative Services, please visit www.hellhoundpublishing.com/services.
Cody here. Thank you so much for being part of another episode of Cody Central with me. If you'd like to support the program and help me sustain and grow the show, please consider checking out the QR codes below, which include my latest album release, our Patreon channel, as well as general donation links to help us offset some of our programming costs, such as our streaming platform and studio rent. I've also launched a fundraising initiative directly through the Hellhound Publishing website. For any of the increments shown, you can promote your event, service, album, product, merchandise, podcast, business, or whatever it is you have, in addition to a number of other benefits. Check out the website for more details and an easy way to contribute to the cause.
Okay.